Episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Howie Zales on the line, and he is president of Hjz Productions and Veridity Entertainment Services, also known as VES. And he's going to be an upcoming author in our newly released book that's going to be coming out later this year. So our Business Leaders Edition. Howie, just want to start off by saying welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Grateful to be here.
All right, Howie. So I know that you are an expert in this space, everything streaming and production and otherwise, and I'm excited to go into your background. I also want to know a little bit more about, kind of what the company did during the pandemic and how that looks, how you were able to help with connectivity for many businesses and events and functions out there. But to get us started, we will start this episode the way that we start them all, with our Mission Matters Minute. So Howie, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Howie, what mission matters to you?
Yeah. So what matters to us is, we want to deliver the best product to our clients as possible. We want to be good people, contribute to our community as best as possible. And we just want to, service our clients and our community.
It's awesome. Love bringing mission-based individuals and entrepreneurs on the line to share, why they do what they do, how they're doing it, and really how do we all as entrepreneurs and just as individuals out there, how do we all learn and grow from that? So great to have you on. I guess just to get us kicked off, like where did this idea of like entrepreneurship or being an entrepreneur, like where did all that start for you?
So I started my television production career back in when I graduated college, and then I was a freelance camera operator and started in 2000. And a friend of mine who I went from kindergarten all the way through college together worked at MSNBC at the time in 2000. And I don't know if you remember, but I Miss in the Morning, they used to do his radio show from MSNBC. And on this particular occasion, they were taking his show on the road. So my friend Brian called and say, "Hey, Howie, are you available to do camera for us? We need, a camera operator." And I said, "Sure, that'd be awesome." He said, "By the way, do you have any friends? I need a camera person, an audio person, and a few utilities." And I said, "Sure, I can ask around." And he said, "By the way, can you make it easy for me? Can you send one invoice and you pay them?" I'm like, "Sure." And I said, "There's got to be a business behind that."
Yeah.
And HJZ Productions was born.
Wow, what a great story. So you were, I won't say an accidental entrepreneur, but this was like, so the first big client, and you're going out there, you do the job. I'm curious how you knew, like, or if there was a certain point in time, because there's different sides of this. So is there a certain point in time when you're like, okay, yeah, this is for me. I want to be an entrepreneur. I can see growing this and making a career out of this.
Well, I didn't even know, and I'll be totally honest with you, I didn't even know the word entrepreneur at the time. I just knew that I was working in a very physical field. I was carrying a camera on my shoulder every time I worked. I needed a backup plan. So to me, having this business on the side where I would, make money off the payroll and off the hiring of people, that was my backup should I get hurt. Right. And then lo and behold, I got hurt. I ended up having to have back surgery in like 2007, 2008. And then the business at that time was kind of transforming where we grew. And we started to get some union contracts in the local New York area, and then one contract become another contract, and we were growing. And at a certain point, my wife said to me, she goes, "You're really an entrepreneur. You need to change your mindset. And you're not a camera operator. You're an entrepreneur that also shoots camera, not a camera operator that has a business on the side."
Big distinction. Yeah.
So once I made that mindset change, like things totally changed.
What is, if you could go back to that earlier, let's say Howie that didn't know he was an entrepreneur but was doing it, which by the way, these are my favorite stories. So for me, because that's like to me, it takes it back to the fundamentals of, trade, right? Like where you have a value, you have a service, you're doing it, and you get money in exchange for that. So I love it. I love stories like this. If you could go back to that, that Howie that's just kind of getting started and doesn't actually know they're an entrepreneur yet at that point, what kind of advice would you give him?
Great question. I would I think I would tell myself to be open to anything.
Mm,
I would have, like, in school, I would
mhm,
have taken more courses. My strength is not writing, and I
mm,
feel like I shied away from that. So the advice I would give to people is whatever you're not good at or whatever
mm,
you need help with, is that's what you need to pay attention to, because
yeah,
somewhere later in life you're going to need that skill, whatever avenue, whatever job you do.
mhm,
Whatever you're deficient at is what you need to go after and make
yeah.
yourself better at.
No, that's great. And that, I mean, when I look back at, myself and I'm just getting started, I didn't know I was an entrepreneur either. So I'm in the same boat. I was just thinking, you're working, you do different things and, kind of transition through life. But that mindset shift, it's not really an easy thing to go through, in my opinion.
No.
Like, so I mean, the first book when I feel, and this is, I'm probably, I don't know, 20 businesses in at this time, before Mission Matters, and smaller businesses, side hustles, things like that, right? So if I'm counting back since I was a kid, but when I read E-Myth and I started thinking about, like, okay, if I'm going to run a business and operate it, like I need to really understand this. Like, how did you go through that transition? Like, what was helpful for you on that path? And I ask this because there's lot of change going on in the world right now. Maybe there's some other accidental entrepreneurs that'll hear this.
Yeah, good question. So the mindset change happened,
Mhm.
and then I hired a business coach. I had
Mm,
hired several business coaches.
yeah,
One LinkedIn coach who totally revamped my LinkedIn profile
yeah.
and gave me a system on how to go about generating leads and things like
Mhm.
that. I hired a business coach
Mm,
uh, that helped me, you know, understand business better,
mm,
how to sell, how to understand that basically everything in life is a sale, whether
mhm,
you're trying to convince your wife to go out to dinner or a date or whatever it may be, right? But everything in
mhm,
life is a sale, and how to go about doing that, and just basically how to just keep plowing on, whether when things get in the way that of your business or in life, how to move or maneuver around those things and get to the top of the mountain. And there's always going to be, always prepare yourself for worst case scenario, because things are going to happen, and have that mindset that, okay, I'm having some success, but I can't get too cocky, because this can happen, this can happen, this can happen. And You always have to be ready for winter, and not the winter months, but the winter of
mhm.
business.
Yeah. It's well said, and now that Murphy's law might creep up once you get. I to this day, like if things are going too smooth, or if they're like things are really rocking and rolling over here, I'm like, all right, Adam, what are you missing?
Right. So
Like, what are you missing? You're missing something because you're maybe a little too comfortable at this moment. And then I start digging because something's gonna happen, right?
yeah,
All right. I want to switch it up a bit. We'll jump all over the place here, but I
sure.
want to switch it up a bit. So I want to touch on the upcoming book and maybe some of what the ideas that you'll propose there. And just for the audience, just so you know, we're only going to touch on this today, but we will be bringing Howie back on the show, and we'll do a once the book is live, and we'll do a deep dive into his writing and also into the book as well. So just get us started there, Howie. Like, what are some of the ideas that you plan to propose in the upcoming launch?
Yeah, just talk about our business and entrepreneurial, my entrepreneurial journey, and things like that.
Yeah. I feel like the one of my favorite parts about putting out these books and also about showcasing stories of the individuals is that we all have, and I know you're, just through your work, not just yourself and what you create, but also through, the, thousands of individuals you've worked with throughout your career, is the idea of like capturing a story, whatever your format is, right? Whether it's, through camera, video, audio, or book, like the power that a story has to move and to reach different audiences. How do you kind of tap into your own creativity, like whether it's writing or otherwise? Like, how do you tap into your own creativity to tell a good story?
Yeah, I feel like I'm most creative very early in the morning. I
Mm,
get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, or I try to as close as possible. And when it's quiet, I try to get most of uh, my creative work done. I
mhm,
find that when I'm in the gym, which is in our house, working
yeah,
out, my mind does not stop, and I find that's when have the most ideas and the most
mhm,
creative about business as well.
mm. Great. I always come up with ideas in the shower. That's me. I don't know how. I'm taking a shower and I'm like, oh, that's it.
And
All right.
also right before I'm about to fall asleep.
Oh, I digress. All right. So HJZ Productions. So you mentioned a little bit. I do want to go further. So tell us a little bit more about the production company.
Yeah, so HJZ Productions is a nationwide television staffing company. We concentrate in sports and entertainment TV crews. So if you're watching a Yankees game on TV, or we hire, we'll get called and hire the TV crew, the camera people, the audio people, the replay people. We hire them, we invoice for them, and then we payroll them.
Hmm. What is, you've been in this industry for a long time, like how has it evolved? I feel like, especially in your space, so sports,
Yeah.
entertainment, otherwise, like not just equipment, but I just mean the industry as a whole. Like what have you seen through that evolution?
Yeah, great question. It evolved in the sense that everyone, and the term is below the line. The
Yeah.
director and producer are above the line. Everyone else, the crew, is below the line.
Mhm,
Everyone below the line used to be um, independent contractors. They would be paid
mhm,
on a 1099. So you'd be responsible for paying your own taxes
mhm,
monthly, quarterly, yearly. However, you'd have to take out, we were always told a third of your each check, right? And you'd be
mhm,
responsible. Now, in most of the United States,
mhm,
the freelancers are paid as employees. They
mm,
get a W-2 like any other employee, but they're at will or on call. So you're not working or showing up every single day. But
yeah.
when you do work, you're paid on a W-2, taxes are taken out,
Mhm,
contributions are made to a
mhm,
union health plan, pension, and annuity fund in most cases. And you have the protections of full-time employees,
yeah.
workers' comp, disability, things like that.
Mm. And so, for context for everybody that's watching this, out in the future, we're recording this in 2022. So just to kind of tee up this question, a lot of change going on, Howie. Obviously, with sports and things like that, like over the last couple of years, not as many live events, obviously, from when we're recording this. Like, how did you kind of weather or transition through that part of the business?
Through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on March 11th, 2020, for us, that was
Mhm.
our last event. Everything just stopped.
Yeah.
Um, and no lie, it was difficult.
Yeah.
The one saving grace for us is we we always we have to pay our people before we get paid.
Yeah.
So at that point, we were waiting on a lot of money to come in.
Mm.
So the fortunate part about that time period, we had money coming in because we had done a lot of work. So that was one advantage.
Yeah.
And I think our company was the first company to put on a production in June of 2020, and that
Wow.
was the graduation of the West Point cadets. We were
Mm.
hired by West Point to broadcast or live stream the
Mm,
graduation because the parents weren't even allowed to West Point for
mm,
the graduation.
mm. Wow, that's so transitioning to VES. Like how did that come out? Like how did that idea come up?
So on that West Point show,
Yeah.
I met one of the people I met was the technical director that I hired. I
Mm,
didn't necessarily want to hire him, but the director who I hired said,
mhm,
I have to have my technical director. I have to have this guy, Jamie. And I was like, no, I have plenty of people sitting at home that do that same position that are just
mhm.
as good. And he was like, I need my guy. And something in my gut said, you know what, go with what Patrick is saying. There's a
Yeah.
reason why you have to meet this guy. So I
Mm,
trusted my gut. I didn't put up a fight and I hired Jamie
mm,
and we hit it off instantly and he like introduced me to the world of live streaming.
mm,
And fast forward, it's the middle towards the end of the summer, and I
yeah,
contacted the rabbi at the temple, who's also my friend, and I
yeah.
said, "Brian, we're not going to be able to do the services in it's 2020 with COVID." I said, "We're going to have to live stream everything. This
Mm,
is what we're going to need to buy. This is what we're going to need to do."
yeah.
And as I'm setting up in the temple in early September, I get a call from a client who says,
Mm.
I need to interview 9 Major League Baseball players in 9 separate cities. The interviewer cannot leave her home. Can you do this? I said, absolutely. I hung up the phone. I called my wife. I said, Jenny, I just agreed to do this. I have no idea how we're going to do it, but we got to figure it out soon because it starts in a month or less.
Yeah.
And that was how VES, Veridity Entertainment Services, was born. One event became another event, and it just snowballed.
So throughout all this transition through the pandemic and otherwise, I see that, some obviously, some entrepreneurs didn't fare so well. Some created brand new business lines and new things out of really what that they had no plan of doing. Like you wouldn't have necessarily gone down this route if the event hadn't happened, right? Like, am I off on
Yeah.
that? Like, you weren't thinking like, hey, we need to start getting into live streaming. That wasn't like on the roadmap, was it?
No, I mean, as I was doing everything in the temple, I'm like, this is
Yeah.
a lot of fun. There's got
Yeah.
to be a business behind it, but how, where,
Yeah. So how did you go about? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because there's a big lesson in this. We went through a lot of the same things. So we couldn't do our in-person book launch events. We couldn't do a lot of different things. We didn't even start really the live stream until I think 2020-ish in general. So we hadn't done too much streaming and otherwise. And we weren't even really producing many shows for other individuals. Not actively. We were, but not actively. And
right.
out of the pandemic, once that happened, it was like there was a whole different need that we saw we could fulfill. So we had our challenges in kind of building and understanding what that part of the model would look like for us. I'm curious to hear on your end, like how did that building process look like? Like how did that take place?
Yeah. So I did a ton of research
Yeah.
on live streaming, the appropriate equipment. I surrounded myself with that person, Jamie, I spoke about, and with some
Hmm.
other people that are way smarter than I am.
Yeah.
I find that if I'm the smartest person in the room, there's a problem. Um,
Same.
so it's who you surround yourself with, and we invested in some equipment to
Yeah.
pull these productions off. And once we got one production, we got another one. Then we invested in some more equipment, and then we got
Mm.
some more, and it was just kind of like it snowballed.
Wow. And so as, as events are opening up and other things when we're recording this, right? Like things are, pretty live. I just went to the Hollywood Bowl the other day. Like
Mhm.
people are definitely coming out to events, thankfully. Like how do you see the future of VES? Because I feel like it's possible that the market is just expanded. Like there's still going to be all these live events. And now it's almost like you almost depending on the event, right? You almost have to have both now, the live component and the streaming part. Am I off on this or?
No, you're 100% accurate, and we're doing a corporate event next month.
Yeah.
a yearly meeting. There'll be 50 or 60 people in the audience at
Mm,
I think the venue's a hotel in New York City, and we're handling the virtual component.
mm,
But the virtual component also has it's more of a hybrid, right? Because
yeah.
yes, we're streaming it out, but we're also sending the camera feed to
Mm,
the screens that are inside the venue,
yeah.
and also providing the audio that is inside the venue.
Mm,
So we take care of all of the production, and it gets split between the in person and the
mhm.
live stream.
And so you mentioned, this was for a business event. So, which brings me to my next question. What are the type of companies that you or events that you work with on the streaming side?
Yeah, we've done events for Xerox, Ray-Ban,
Yeah,
Lixil, which is American Standard. We've
yeah.
done other corporations and companies yearly meetings. We've done sporting events,
Mm,
corporate interviews, um, live streams that go into the college football playoffs that just talk about the game, and with like Mike Tirico and Doug Flutie,
mm.
they talk about the game, and then the live stream ends and the game comes on. Same
Yeah.
thing for the Final Four with Charles Barkley and Magic
Mm.
Johnson, things like that.
So a lot of executives watch this, and as they're considering how live stream fits into their organizations, going forward, like what are some ideas or what are some thoughts as you're now? Because now maybe pre-pandemic you were just dipping your toe in the water in this space. Now you're the guy. So so I'm
Yeah.
interested from your point of view. Like what are some things they should be thinking about as they go into planning maybe these live/streaming events?
Yeah, it's how do you engage the audience that's
Mm,
not there, right? Do you use QR codes? Do you use polls? Do you use um, tag boards, which is a
yeah.
way to interact social media into an event, maybe not a corporate event, but
Mm,
a different type of event.
mm,
How do you engage the audience with the use of video,
yeah.
pre-produced video pieces to roll in,
Mm,
the use of slides to so you're not just staring at the same person
yeah.
talking for 40 minutes, things like that.
So the thing is that it can be an interactive and entertaining experience. This isn't just
Yes.
get on a Zoom call and talk, right? Like that's what I'm trying to take away from this. Like there's
Yeah.
a way to do an event and then there's a way to do an event, right?
Yeah, and we're talking that these events could be the quality could
Yeah.
be broadcast on TV. That's the quality of some of these events. And the more interesting and
Mhm.
the more attractive you make it to the audience, the better
Hmm.
it's gonna play.
What's a like if you can give an example maybe of just something that stuck out to you, whether it's audience or engagement wise, on a way that maybe it could be a client that you had, or it could be anybody really, that just something you saw that like when you're like, oh yeah, this worked out well. This form of engagement really got a lot of traction with the audience and created a meaningful experience. Anything stick out for you?
Yeah, and it's what's happening now with
Yeah.
the live stream industry is the live shopping, and if
Mm,
it's done right, where you can be on your mobile device, your iPad, your computer, whatever, and literally just buy from the screen and just touch the screen, and it goes right to your cart. To me, that is like it's like going to be I think a $250 billion business in the next year or two.
yeah, that's awesome. That is, and that I mean, how much more engagement can you get, right?
Yeah, I mean,
And then it
and the
shows up.
watch
So you get
time, they say the watch time of individuals watching each stream is 15-20 minutes long, and that's huge.
that is huge in the world of 15-second cuts, right?
And right.
That's huge. Nobody's sitting down to watch a necessarily longer program, so that kind of watch time is that's legit.
Yeah.
What so going forward and just from your vantage point, so we have one. What interests you just in the space? So the shopping's one of them, or the live. Anything else that just sticks out, not just in streaming in general or events in general, like that just sticks out to you from your vantage point?
Yeah, we're getting into the hope is we're going to get into some sporting events.
Mm.
um, that are like track and field, some
Yeah.
sporting events that are want the broadcast but don't have the money to get on TV,
Yeah.
but they're in the kind of that middle gray area that they can afford the production but not of a full-fledged TV production. So
Oh,
that's
that
our
makes total sense. So you're
yeah,
expanding the market there because the
yeah,
margin might be there. I mean, they may be able to do it, but now, so, as costs, as efficiencies, as different things change, then who knows? Maybe it could be different other sports that didn't get the same recognition
right.
that are going to be great to promote the sport and the athletes, of course. But then there's
Yep.
going to be these little cottage advertising or other industries that sprout up from it, right?
Yeah, and our hope is we can take some of these internationally, where
Yeah.
let's say there's a track and field meet going on in the Bahamas, right? They
Mhm.
don't have, um, they might necessarily not have the equipment there to do it,
Yeah.
produce the event, and they don't do it every day like we do it here.
Mhm.
So we can go there, produce the event. They can advertise with us with their,
Mhm.
you know, their vacations and their
Mhm.
tourism,
Oh, for
and
sure.
so it's just, it's the perfect marriage.
Ah, totally. That's great. I knew, man, you're innovating over there. Come on, man. Howie. It's great. It's great. And I see it too. And you can see, and when I think about different ideas and different ways to do things, and also one of the things that, as we've gotten to know each other, just your traditional TV background and understanding the model and being able to bring some of the things that, what's old is new, right? But to
Right.
be able to bring some of the things that have worked in the past and different things and kind of infuse them into different models and figure out what makes sense to add value on both sides of the lenses, right? For the talent and for the athletes or whomever's on one side, and then also the audience and the advertisers, and really that whole ecosystem. I mean, it could be a great thing for just creating great content, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it gets some of the athletes that might not have gotten
Mhm.
coverage, and it provides more jobs for
Yeah,
people.
awesome. Well, Howie, first off, it's been great having you on the show. I'm excited for the next time we get to work with each other after the book is live. Of course, I'm going to bring you back on the show, and I want to go
Excellent.
further into your writing and your ideas on entrepreneurship. But today, I did want to just give it a good introduction to you, to the audience. That being said, if somebody wants to connect and to follow up and to learn more about either of your companies, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, HowieZales.com.
Yeah.
You can find my podcast there, and you can find our family of websites,
Mm.
all from just that one URL, HowieZales.com.
And name of podcast, gotta make sure we plug that.
Yeah, TV Crew Talk. It's
Mm,
about the television sports broadcasting industry.
it's awesome. And what's kind of the, because I definitely want my audience to go check that out and to subscribe. What's kind of the flavor of the show? Like, give us a little bit of a
Yeah,
feel.
we talk to other people, other television camera people, audio people, to just, we've had some great life experiences. I've
Yeah.
gotten to travel the world many times over.
Mm.
I've done Olympics, Super Bowls, Kentucky Derbies, and had some awesome experiences. So I'm just trying to draw those other experiences out from other people like me.
What's one of your favorite moments from just being a host? Like, what's any stories or anything stick out? And I know that's the most unfair question to ask any podcast host or host of anything. Which one of your children are your favorite? Which interview? No, what, anything that sticks out as like one of those memorable moments that just you got with you.
Yeah, I had my good friend on the show, and we were kind of reminiscing about, I call her my TV road wife.
Mm.
We traveled the world together, just reminiscing about our all of our travel stories.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, we'll be sure to put all that information, all the links and stuff to your site and otherwise in the show notes so that our audience can check out your show and go and check you out as well and the company. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters or listening to an episode or engaging with the platform, we're all about bringing on entrepreneurs, executives, experts, having them share their businesses, their mission, why they do what they do, how they're doing it, and really what we can all learn and gain from it so that we can all grow together. If that's the type of content that sounds interesting or memorable to you, we encourage you, hit that subscribe button, because I have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Howie, again, great having you on the show. Until the next time, thanks again.